All right. Welcome to the second virtual book party where authors get a chance to plug their books. I initially set this up so that people who had published a book in 2020, had no launch party because of COVID, would have a chance to say, here's my book, here's how you can get it, read a poem from it, kind of do a little miniature book party, a little baby launch, if you will. And the first one went really, really well. I had a couple more people than I could handle for the first one. And that spilled over into this. I had half a dozen sign up. And of those, one has canceled. Two have not joined yet. And I don't see them waiting. So that's okay. We're going to do this. Waiting room. I see my friend Alan Wallowitz. All right. So to start things off, I'm going to be absolutely selfish and plug my own book. Let's see if we can get that up there. I hate it when they show these backwards. It says, do you hear it? This was published by Kelsey Books, which I've noticed a number of our group have published through Kelsey. Karen seems to have a lot of good friends. So this first poem is called Desiccated Woman, and it was written after seeing a mummy of someone allegedly of royal descent in ancient Egypt. Desiccated woman lies in state, royal attire intact on a meatless frame that once drew king's attention. But that was long before the drought of life intruded, leaving her daily more sere. Her wit was the first to go barren, then emotions evaporated. Love-making machinery rusted shut. There was a dry run at death, but not a drop of blood flowed from her arid veins, dusty arteries. She recovered long enough to plead through shriveled parchment lips. Make sure the undertaker knows. And so we're left to wonder. The second one is something I wrote a long time ago, and I find when I go back and read it again, it's delightful. So I'm assuming it was a good poem then and hopefully good now. It's called Fishing. When I close my eyes, I see the docks, small fishing village, wooden ships at anchor, small shore houses one against another. Color. Seagulls calling overhead, the creak of the wind stirring the masts and rigging, the sound of the bumpers of coiled rope scraping against the side of the dock, the smell of the sea, an autumn breeze. And grief again, unexplained. Sorrow beyond belief for I don't know what. I have pulled up empty nets and cursed them, or nets filled to breaking with the wrong fish and cursed them too. Tonight, I closed my eyes and understood. I have been fishing for my own lost innocence. So those are the two that I've chosen to read. The book is available from Kelsey Books or on Amazon. Autographed copies are obviously always available from the author. So I've had my turn. I don't see Shelley or Jefferson here yet, and no one waiting in the wings. So Dawn.
Can I just interrupt for a second? Could you hold up your book again and tell me the title? I didn't write it down before.
No problem. I'll put it in the comments as well. It's called Do You Hear It?
Thanks.
My question is, do you see that as straight text or is that mirror image to you?
It's good. It's good.
Okay, because on my screen, it's backwards.
Right.
And Jim, may I ask you a question about your book?
Absolutely.
Before we go? Okay, now, I certainly want an autographed copy. How best shall I pay you for that?
I can take PayPal or Venmo.
Perfect.
Either one. And I will put my PayPal address in the comments for you.
Excellent. I love PayPal for that very reason.
Me too.
So easy.
Thank you, Alan. All right, Dawn, it's your turn.
Hi, thanks very much. Let me just put up the book. Can you folks see that okay?
Yes.
Beautiful.
Great. Yeah, that's the cover. I want to talk about the book a little bit first, and then I'll read one poem. Um, the poem is the book is this is the title page, and you can see there's a poem there in the center. No greater truth, kindness, nor greater lie, color, nothing more human, discovery. That's the end of a poem that's in the book called Our Shared Humanities. And then there's also at the bottom, there's the cover haiku, bright night sky, great migration, streets on fire. Bright night sky, great migration, streets on fire. That goes with that image. And there's several other photo haiku in here. Here's the table of contents. There's, I think, 70 poems in there. So this is one other thing I wanted to show you. At the bottom, you can see I've put a QR code. Some of the poems have that. If you follow that QR code with your phone, you'll come to a recording on YouTube of me reading the poem.
Excellent.
So it's kind of a neat thing. I thought of doing it, and I recorded like 15 or 20 of them and put the codes on. I think why doesn't everybody do it? It's a great thing and it's free.
Because we didn't think of it.
Well, but next time
Yeah,
I'll help you.
thanks.
Um, Here's another one of the photo haiku. Um, that's the atomic bomb dome in Hiroshima Peace Park. Leaf-clad stone ramparts, phoenix trees at River's Fork, deciduous souls. Okay, let me read this poem. This is the opening poem. Oh, I think I should show you one other thing. The, the book is divided into three sections: America, Childhood's End, and To Save a Life. And each one of the sections is divided into folios. Each folio is introduced by a haiku. And so when you come to the divide, this is a divider section right here. It has a page, it has a photo haiku. Here's the next divider section: America, liberty, and justice for all. There's a number of topical poems in here, and you can see the haiku: broken trees laid flat, cell towers and billboards, Jesus saves, fresh cracked eggs, and so forth. A new world. I gashed my knee, my head too, maybe a broken rib. Someone at work offered a bed so he could check me through the night. As a kid, I often fell, a stone under a skate, a bike crash. When a scrape bled, or that time they found me head against a tree root, no one said a word or seemed to care. I didn't either. If they see my frailty, though, how long will I hold my job? How much safer to look good now that I'm old. At the Giant Eagle, an old man stares at the pay pad till the clerk presses the button for him. I use cash so I won't look like that. Outside, they walk by laughing, hand in hand, or just looking at each other. I don't notice their color, only that they're young and have accents I don't understand. At the lotto counter, we wait, our faces and posture American, surrendered to hope and chance like trees. We could do something with life in it, look at each other, or at least at those faces on the street. Is that why we hate them, saying what they please, acting like they're free? Lately, people talk faster than I can listen, like I'm sitting on a bench and they're running by. Maybe I'm listening too deep to keep up, because under the talk, I see the vitality of their thought and hear our shared humanity. It's getting worse, and I'm often near tears, but it feels like freedom. One other thing I wanted to say is making my work accessible at the first read or first hearing is very high on my list, and it's important to me. And so the book is an easy read. It's an easy one.
Excellent. Thank you. Ethan, are you ready?
Hello, how are you doing?
I am well. I'm in California.
Wow, I'm in Maryland where it's late. It's amazing.
It's not late.
It's amazing I'm still awake. Okay, anyway, all right. So the book, Words for Things Left Unsaid from, can you guess which press?
Kelsey.
Kelsey Books. With this beautiful art by the science artist, Julie Nudell. What I'm gonna do is I'll put my name and email if you want to get it from me. I'll do it, 15, well, actually,
Okay.
for you. Or I'll put the Amazon or maybe the Kelsey Books. And the poem it's called, I have many cat poems. Some people think too many. This is yet another cat poem. It's called 8 Million Years. Yowling and whining, Callie and Thelma demand breakfast each morning, walking over us with imperious impunity. Cats are an astonishingly patient species. They waited 8 million years, hunting, breeding, dying, hunting, for their humans to appear on Earth. They waited 8 million years to evolve in the blink of an eye, from hunters to lovers, purring, rubbing, frolicking, enduring the suffering of all the lonely people, becoming stars of stage and screen, of a billion videos. They waited 8 million years to become an invasive species, slaughtering birds and voles and rare protected critters in nooks and crannies of the globe where no cat had ever been. Our cats haunt us daily, ghosts of devastation future, ethereal angels of love. We cannot live without them as we hurl toward our common fate. Thank you.
Good. We have time for you to read another if you'd like.
Oh, do you want me to do a short one?
Please.
Okay, here's a short one from my first little section. It's the end of the first section, not that you care. There's a reason for it, but you have to buy the book to learn the reason.
That's how it goes.
Okay, this is called Eve and Adam Look Down from Purgatory. Adam, did people really go to the moon? Eve, physically they did, but spiritually not. Spiritually, the whole thing was a fake. We remain earthbound souls. Adam, is the earth round or flat? Eve, flat. In eons past, the earth was round, but now it's an interminable gold coin on an obese, arthritic elephant's back, jam-packed with angry mobs struggling to push each other off the edge. Adam, is there a God? Eve, the truth is, people have been around for 6,000 years, or is it 200,000? And we still don't know. One thing's for certain, though, there is a Satan. Adam, isn't that just conjecture? Eve, I've known it to be so ever since I ate the apple. People are unfair to snakes, though. We should love them and treat them kindly. Adam, what will the weather be tomorrow? Eve, cloudy with a chance of death.
That was fun.
Thank you.
What do you want me to do?
Mute.
Donna, can we go to you next? Yes.
Yes, now I'm unmuted. Well, this is my most recent book, Gravity, New and Selected Poems. And there's the back of it. It came out in 2018, and I will have a new book coming out in the fall, but the publisher hasn't announced it yet, so I won't until he does, until they do, or whatever. Okay, I hadn't planned to do this, so I don't know. Sorry. Okay, here's one. Nabisco Original Saltine. Working class cousin of a crouton, I am crushing you between my palms into a bowl of Campbell's tomato soup. Sometimes I spread you with butter or P&J, or make 4 tiny sandwiches with a quartered slice of American yellow cheese. Cracker, I once eschewed for fancier crackers. I take you back. You are trusty like old love, the only cracker, when washed down with Coke, able to soothe my queasy belly. My grandpa broke a sleeveful into a bowl, topped the crumbles with whole milk. Sometimes on summer nights for supper. I have to say, the first thing I bought when we went into COVID lockdown was tomato soup and Nabisco Original Saltine crackers. The tomato soup I haven't gotten desperate enough for yet. I mean, not that it isn't good, but you know, I'm a good cook. But the crackers, I have gone through box after box. Yes, I have. So, thank you. I shall mute up now. Oh, you can buy my book from, wait a minute, before I mute myself. Amazon has copies as well as small press distribution. And
You'll put that in the comments. I will go through and parse these out of the comments, and then we can post them.
okay. I mean, Amazon is just like my name, and you know, then it comes out with all my other books. You know,
Okay.
the ones that are still in print.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, cool.
I believe we are ready for Michael.
Okay, I'm ready. This book is called Morning Calm. And I was blessed to have 2 books published in 2020 and cursed to have 2 books published during a pandemic. So there it is. This book is divided into 3 sections. The first part is mainly taken from a chapbook called a pop-up chapbook, which was published by Mojave Press. Online, it was only available for, I think, 2 months, and then it disappeared, which was planned. The second section is made up of about 60 haiku, and the third section is a collection of poems about my time in South Korea. Actually, the first and the third section are about my times in South Korea. And each of the sections are preceded by a photograph. There's 3 of them inside the book. And the one on the cover is mine also. And I'm going to read this one. It's called The 38th Parallel, short. The 38th Parallel. The border shifted long ago, the lake clear and clean. Watching clouds bump into hills, I imagined soldiers lying buried in the earth, bones bleached white beneath green grasses. This space now quiet, sky and waters a calm blue. Only herons restless on the bank. That's it. Thank you. And this book is available on Amazon and barnesandnoble.com. And if you want a signed copy, I'll put my email and PayPal address in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a particular fondness for herons and egrets, of which we see a lot when we're out kayaking here. Just love them, love to photograph them.
Yeah. Oh, I should mention also that I'm in the frozen state of Texas, home to Ted Cruz.
Sterling and I were talking
Cabo
earlier
Cruise?
about Sterling and I were talking earlier about Ted Cruz and how he's going to become a part of our lexicon. So when someone takes a vacation to get away from their responsibilities and leaves people in the lurch, they are taking a Ted Cruz, C-R-U-I-S-E. And I'm going to have Sterling up next. You have to unmute, Sterling.
I can't take myself anywhere. Rather than reading from the book that's I only have proofs for, I'm going to read something from a former book, which is printed by Maple Press and is available through Amazon and Barnes and Noble. And if you write me and want an autographed copy, I can always take care of that too. Anyhow, the poem I want to read is called Mary Magdalene and I. Before the JC superstar cast convenes, exotic Mary sensuously glides customer to customer like a lap dancer. Her petite breasts as round as delicacy permits, so close, never making contact, artiste dharma true to the Magdalene shuffle. No footsteps feel devotion's pebble. No commitment compromises advantage. She stirs hearts across the stage, teaches me songs of love unrequited, says that teardrops shed grace, and that all people endure, as well as anointed shrines of pain, purpose, kindness, and elegance, and that passion fights against enemies and leaves audiences wanting even more. Receptive spirit, Mary's chutzpah, like a summer shower, all but baptizes parched spiritual wastelands, revives faith, fulfills empty promises, gifts troubled troubadours with a gesture, a thought. Hair ebony, eyes ultraviolet, her femme fatale tongue licks the air like a blessed monarch butterfly, mouth uncurling, vermilion lips spreading, as if collecting youth, preserving nectar, yes, ambrosia, for some fair weather Messiah or me. Almost a date. A few momentary thoughts embracing your figure through the Winchester Bayview Bakery window. Simple glances that prance around customers like fairy feet, barely kissing enchanted forest floors that gazed over my shoulder, far beyond the glass. And there, the female apostle, with an appropriate smile, invites inquisitions, discourages hesitations, sets the world at 6s and 7s, nearly offending tenderness, practically touching me with hands like crushed velvet, consummating our casement relationship. Like an experienced doula, soaking up midnight's essence, Mary kept company with pale, tetchy apparitions, lost souls, searching, circling, meandering over serrated imaginations and fluted daydreams. Edgy nighttime visitations, there her shape shifted. Her shape-shifting gospel spreads like shade beneath an eagle's wingspan, protective shadow hanging over my head, plummeting into a heart shackled, bruised by confusion's restraints and desire's dimmer purpose. With measured, muted conversation, brassy laughter lines, highlighting smiles practically speak to me, conveying lipstick messages. Then our eyes finally lock, and like Ouija boards, guiding fingertips across flat planes, dividing information from disembodied spirits, we scan each other, affirm suspicions, paint ourselves with restrictions, brushstrokes, frame our visual courtship and almost approachable window pane romance, knowing neither how to cultivate nor nurture an affaire de corps, advance imagination any further. So forget the performance. Leave one of the 7 veils behind, a trivial, poignant reminder. We never knew how to love.
Interesting. All right. Alan Wolowitz. You also must unmute.
Yes.
There you go.
There I am. I have no new book out this year, but this is from my chapbook, which is, I think, still available thanks to the good graces of the publisher, called Osadax Books, which is a tiny publisher in Kentucky. But once they hear about Michael's plan to only allow his to be sold for 2 months, I think they might be onto something. This is a belated Valentine's poem called The Anatomy of Longing. And it's also one of my favorite subjects, going to the doctor or not going to the doctor. The Anatomy of Longing. When he looks inside, the doctor tells me I'm fine, save for a few loose parts even he can't name. That might be why I feel so hollowed out when he tells me breathe, and then again. And I admit to myself, if not to him, I know this feeling from before, a time I was young and hollowed out for sure. He says, medicine has no name for this, but we can call it longing, if you like. He knows I like when things have names, but it takes too long till names come known. What's usually best is just move on, breathe on my own. If not exactly free, then calm and hollowed out, the way it was when I used to be. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you. And it looks like, Betsy, you get to be the caboose.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't expecting this. I just ran to my bookshelf to get my book off the shelf. I was considering reading from, I actually have, some of you know, I have an anthology that's just come out, and I'm having a book launch tomorrow, but I haven't practiced. I just realized I haven't practiced reading my own poem, but Michael's in it and Alan's in it. And it's tomorrow at 4:00. If anyone hasn't seen my numerous posts trying to promote it, I have 27 poets, a lot of whom are from Verse Virtual, who are in it, and at least 14 of whom are going to show up tomorrow. But I decided, since I haven't ever read that, and yesterday was the 21st anniversary of my mom's death, I wanted to read a poem that some of you have heard me maybe read before, and it's one I wrote for her. And the title is Sillage, which is French for, it's a term that means the vapor that follows in your wake after a perfume. And actually, I know this isn't going to work because I have my virtual background on, but this is her perfume, and I have it from, it's probably one of the earliest perfumes I remember her wearing. So it's probably over 50 years old, and it still has a beautiful scent. Anyway, I dream of Jeannie on a trail of vapors you come. As I crack open the cracked box, I slip through a scented wormhole of space and time to the heart of the matter. In another dimension, I follow close behind on the essence of you, the bass notes left in the bottle. My conscious mind amnesiac, but my primitive nose remembers. Scent remains unperturbed, a complex perfume imported, outlasting you and your body. French, at your service, no memorial except your legacy of language and luxury. The box sits on the shelf, idle until I need you. And then with one whiff I follow, transported to a splintered realm, holy, holy, holy. Shadowed and strung with tripwires, nurture and neglect, ice and fire. Memories dissipate like a genie after 3 wishes are spent. My first and only wish would be that this fragrance lingers until I too depart, leaving my own olfactory trace in my wake. The bottle tightly stoppered to preserve your mothered memories, perfumed. Only the best notes remain. And that's from my book, Alinea, which is on Amazon. Thank you. And thanks to Donna, I met my publisher who just kind of threw this book in my lap. So I was very lucky I didn't have to go out and try to sell a book to a publisher.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, it was a small group. That was kind of a fun, intimate reading.